This channel is designed for adults viewing only, and certain videos will contain rated M for mature video games, featuring realistic violence, gore and suggestive themes. If you are not an adult, do not view the content on this channel.
Don't go anywhere, stay tuned. Get ready to take a trip down memory lane. Alright, that table can only mean one thing. We're just showing off the Nintendo Entertainment System collection. It's a video that I've been waiting to make for quite a while. So let's check out what we have here. We have Kung Fu for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It's going to be a interesting video. We got the Karate Kid for the Nintendo Entertainment System. We have Jackal. Excite Bike. Yeah, this is gonna be a long video, so you guys need to sit back and relax and enjoy this nice old collection of Nintendo games right here. Got Dr. Mario, and most of them are in sleeves, which is nice. Double Dribble. Gotta wash that off. I don't know what that is. But we got Double Dribble right here, and one of my favorite basketball games of all time. That one definitely has a little bit of wear and tear on it. Some scrapes on the side. We have a Double Dragon. Here's one that I like right here because it has the Funkaland sleeve. Good old Funkaland. It got Cobra Triangle. It's a little bit harder pulling the game out of the sleeve right here. And it does have the manual with it as well. I kept that sleeve only because it's Funkaland. Got Super C Contra. Got Contra Part 1. See right there, it has it's pretty obvious right there that that's Arnold Schwarzenegger and probably Sylvester Stallone. Alright, so let's zoom out here. You can see that on the very top right there is where I have all my NES games. There's another shelf too. Blades of Steel. So this is my original collection that I collected over the years. And then I bought out another guy's collection, which I'm going to show that to you. It's like completely on a separate shelf. Hogan's Alley. Got good old Ghouls and Ghosts. And then we got at the end of the video, I'm going to show you guys some weird, obscure cartridges as well. Gauntlet. We got ourselves a copy of Gauntlet. So keep count. Friday the 13th, definitely a pretty cool horror game, and you can see that it's stacking up so high that it's kind of hard to keep track of exactly how much we have. We have baseball. Then we have 1942. Nice shoot 'em up game for the NES. And you see some of these games have a buildup of dust. It's this one thing that's kind of hard when you're collecting games, is trying to get the dust cleaned off. So let's see if we can get the next pile of games. Oh boy. Let's see if I can actually pull this off. Okay, I'm just gonna put them right here for now. Alright, so let's bring this down here without dropping them. Oh my god, that was close. The last thing you want to do is drop a bunch of old Nintendo games, because you never know if something's gonna break. Alright, so we have Snake's Revenge right there. I'm not even sure if I have the first Metal Gear game. I'm not sure if I do. Super Glove Ball. I'm assuming you need the Power Glove in order to play that, which I do not own. And we're definitely gonna have to push that over a little bit. We have a copy of Super Mario 2 without the sleeve. I'm curious to know where the sleeve went. What the hell happened with that sleeve? Super Mario 3. Which technically that should be below that. It's in alphabetical order. We have Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt right there. You know what? I've owned multiple copies of this game and I don't remember seeing that like blue outline right there. That is weird. I don't remember ever seeing that. That's like the only copy I've ever seen that on. I don't know if it's just me or if I just don't remember correctly. But then we have Super Mario Brothers by itself on a cartridge. And I remember my Duck Hunt Mario game like this with no blue outline is kind of weird. Rush and Attack, a good old Konami game. I guess if you like Contra, you might enjoy that game. Yeah, we have Rygar, made by Temco. The label art on these games are pretty fun to look at sometimes. Just wondering what the hell's going on. And then we have ourselves a copy of River City Ransom, and it has like it looks like at one time it had a name on it. It probably came from a rental place. So it has that weird number on it. And we have ourselves a copy of Taito Renegade. You can see someone's getting their ass kicked right there. It's in pretty good shape. Most of my NES games are in good shape. They work fine. That good old Rad Racer. If you guys enjoyed these collection videos, don't forget to check out the other ones I uploaded. You'll see, I think I showed off the Genesis, Super Nintendo, and I even showed off a Wii U and Switch collection. Got RC Pro Am right here. Got Pro Wrestling. Can't have an NES collection without Pro Wrestling. This has the manual with it as well. Let's make sure that the label doesn't get crushed. See the label is peeling a little bit. Got a interesting SNK game right here, Prisoner of War. It's actually not that bad for the NES. Of course, it's not nearly as good looking as the arcade version, but it plays quite well. We have Narc. And this game right here is a pretty violent game for the NES. If I remember correctly, you can make bodies explode. And of course, you can't have an NES collection without Mike Tyson Punch Out. Yeah, Mike Tyson punching people right there. They have there's a copy of Metroid right there. You see Samus. Pretty good shape. Alright, so now we're going to have to grab the next batch of games right here. I'm trying to keep these organized as much as possible. There's 2 shelves, so this is the first shelf. Alright, let's see if we can get by without dropping these. I eventually want to show off my Atari 2600 collection. It's going to be a little tricky to show that off because I have probably more games than any collection of... The Atari 2600 collection is pretty big. We have Legend of Zelda in a nice shiny gold cartridge, and it looks like it's in pretty good shape. Looks like it's been polished. No scratches, nothing crazy going on. Yoshi cookie. And that's right, there is a Yoshi game on the NES. You saw that. A game that's very dear to my heart. WrestleMania Steel Cage Challenge. Definitely love playing that game. It's pretty fun. Wrath of the Black Manta, that is. Not Marta. It's another Taito game. It's in pretty good shape. And we have this Roller Class Meat Track, and you have to play this. It's required to get the power pad, which I don't have. But in order to play that game, you have to have the power pad. And we have another Capcom game, Viper. I really don't know too much about this game, but it looks kind of Contra looking. And we have ourselves a copy of Top Gun. We got Track and Field Part 2. Got Tiger Heli by Acclaim. Acclaim made some pretty okay, decent games. We have Tag Team Wrestling. It's one of the first wrestling games on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and it was definitely a very, very hard game to play. We have Tetris Part 2. Tetris Part 1. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Looks like the first one right here. I really didn't care for the first one too much. Then we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 2, the arcade game. This was an okay game. It wasn't too bad. And we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 3, which is hands down my favorite. Probably my favorite Turtles game of all time. I definitely love playing that game. And for some reason the sleeve says no book. Captain Obvious. There's no manual with the game, so somebody actually wrote that on there. I don't know why. And then we have ourselves a loose copy of Skate or Die. Pretty much everything here is loose. So that is the first shelf. There is a second shelf that we're going to be showing off. I just gotta have to stay tuned, and I will go grab the second shelf. I'm going to put this up right back where it came from. Alright, so now for the next shelf that we have here. Now this next shelf is a collection that came from a completely different person that compiled this collection himself, and he sold the whole thing to me. I bought like a whole bunch of games from him, including Super Nintendo games and a whole bunch of other stuff, like $400. So this is basically his collection of NES games that he collected over the years, and he decided to get rid of them. So this is where I got all those games from, which you're about to see in a second. We got Chip 'n Dale's, Rescue Ranger. Now his collection comes with the manuals, so just about every game has the manual with it. We have DuckTales. You can see that there's a little bit of discoloration on the plastic of the cartridge. I guess he had these stored in his basement for quite a long time. But I went through and cleaned all the contacts, and they actually all work. We got Captain Skyhawk. And the cool thing is, most of the games that he had, I did not own. So it actually worked out. We got City Connection. Now this looks like it might have been a rental. Got A Boy and His Blob. Pretty cool game with the manual. Alright, so we have our copy of Battletoads right here. Pretty cool, something I did not have. I used to have Double Dragon and Battletoads, but that was a long time ago and something happened to it. I don't know exactly where it went. Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle. So you can definitely see that during the time that he probably owned these, he had a lot of cartoon themed games, so it's probably when he was younger. Blaster Master by Sunsoft. We have Base Wars, which is quite the interesting baseball game. I played this briefly and I thought it was actually pretty cool. Never actually played it before. Here we have Disney's Adventure at the Magic Kingdom, a nice little Capcom Disney game. It's quite interesting. We have The Addams Family by Ocean, made in Japan, and yeah, pretty cool. Got Bubble Bobble for the NES, made by Taito. Now, some of the cartridges that we have in this collection are pretty rare. They're definitely not common. We got Adventure Island Part 2. I'll say that his collection is probably worth more than my collection that I showed off up there a second ago. So this collection is now part of my collection. This is called 8 Eyes. Quite the interesting, obscure game. We're going to zoom out a little bit here so you guys can actually see. Got Tom Sawyer's, The Adventure of Tom Sawyer's. It's another game I never actually really played. And then we have The American Gladiators for the NES. We have Snake, Rattle, and Roll, which I never actually heard that. Never played it before. Something that we can definitely check out in the future. And we have ourselves a copy of Star Tropic. And it comes with a little paper that's required to actually play this game as well. It has the paper. So apparently that paper has like little hidden codes or something on it. Got a Natsumi game here, Shadow of the Ninja. Got Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends. And this looks like another rental. You got this actually says Excite Bike, but this says Paperboy too, so got the wrong sleeve right there. Got a Nightmare on Elm Street. Pretty cool LJN game. We have ourselves a copy of Mick Kids, a McDonald game. I'm not exactly sure how common or rare that is, but that's definitely pretty interesting. And definitely one of my favorite NES games, Marble Madness. Very, very happy to have that game again. Back when I was younger, I definitely owned a copy of Marble Madness. You have Mickey Mouse, the Mousecapade, that is. That never actually played that one before. Have to check that out sometime. And we have ourselves a Capcom version of The Little Mermaid, another game that I never really played before. Capcom made plenty of pretty decent Disney games back then. We have Kirby's Adventure. So this is actually a pretty decent big NES collection. I literally doubled my NES collection by buying this guy's. It's a lot. He had a lot of games that he was selling. Peter Pan and the Pirates. It's a lot of obscure games that are unusual, like got Dash Galaxy and the Alien Asylum, a Data East game, a game that, like, off the top of my head, I never even heard of. Got Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. Then we have a Dream Master, another Capcom Disney game. And the label is peeling off a little bit there. And we have ourselves a copy of Darkwing Duck, another Capcom Disney game. And then we have Wacky Races, made by Atlas. And again, some of these games might be rare, common. I really don't know. I try to buy stuff at tag sales and stuff like that. Like, this was a private sell. I drove right to the guy's house and I bought all his stuff right there. Zen Intergalactic Ninja. We have Tom and Jerry. You can see the labels peeling off a little bit. Again, these were all stored in this guy's basement for quite a long time. So we have a copy of Trek and Field. So these cartridges are probably not in the greatest shape, but they still play. Tiny Toon Adventures. And we have a good old Activision game right here, the Three Stooges. You don't really see too many Activision games on the NES. That's pretty cool. Now here's one right here. That's not that common at all. Thrilla's Safari. I actually didn't realize I even owned this game. Look at this. This is TNC Surf. This is the second one right here. I definitely want to buy the first one. The first one's really fun. Then we have a Taito game called Toki. Now this maybe might have been one of the first games that he owned, I would imagine. Is Sesame Street ABC Letter Go Round. I would imagine that either he had a little sister, or maybe when he was younger, maybe that was probably the first game that he owned, I would imagine. This is a Smash TV for the NES. And then we have The Simpsons Bart vs. the World, and it has the manual and all that stuff. The Simpsons Bart vs. Space Mutant. And afterwards we're going to be showing off a few other NES things right here. We're pretty close to the end of his collection. We've got Snoopy's Silly Sports Spectacular. A lot of cartoon games. So these were games that he owned when he was younger. Most of these games are actually fun to play though, so it really doesn't matter. And then we got, last but not least, Snow Brothers. And apparently this game is rare. I guess, and it's not that common. So yeah, here is a authentic, real copy of Snow Brothers. It is a little worn out, it's been played. But there it is, and it has the manual. So yeah, I'm going to put those back on the shelf for a second, then I'm going to grab a few other obscure NES items to show you guys. Just be one moment. Alright, so I'm going to be showing off a few other NES games right here that are separate from those two batches of games that I just showed off. And some of them are boxed, and some of them are unlicensed games. So we have ourselves a boxed copy of WrestleMania, the first WrestleMania for the NES. It's an Acclaim game. And I love the box art. It has the good old WrestleMania logo with the WWF logo right there with Hogan ripping his shirt off. We have a couple of screenshots right here. Got Andre the Giant, Honky Tonk Man, Ted DiBiase, and Bam Bam Bigelow, and of course Macho Man Randy Savage. So if you're an old school wrestling fan like me, that's definitely a pretty awesome boxed NES game right there. And we have a nice boxed copy of Super Mario 3. And the box is in pretty good shape, for the exception of like there's a little bit of wear right there on the bottom. But it held up quite well. Nothing really wrong with it. There's a couple of little dings in it. And we have a boxed copy of Knight Rider, one of my favorite racing games on the NES. Heavily underrated. I thought this game was actually quite awesome, and the box art is probably one of the coolest looking box arts ever. I mean, look at this. That looks awesome. It's probably my favorite NES box art right there. And it's a pretty cool racing game. Definitely enjoy playing it. And then once again we have ourselves another really cool box art, Back to the Future. It's a good old LGN. I mean, that's right, I own an LGN box game right here, and I love the box art. Got the Back to the Future logo. The game is probably not the greatest at all. Pretty bad, but I definitely love the box art. The box art's pretty cool. And a very, very good movie. So the next batch of games I have here are Tension games. We have a Super Sprint. And this came from a game exchange over in Connecticut. $6.99. Then we have a copy of Roadrunner. And some Tension games. Tension games are actually made by Atari, but some of these games are actually worth a decent amount, while some of them are worth just about the same as any normal NES game. We have Pac-Man. You see, this is like what one of their boxes looks like right here, and it's in pretty bad shape. So I guess our best bet is to show you what the box looks like. It's a very, very cheap box, and I don't want to break it, but this is probably one of those games that was stored in the basement for quite a long time, and you're supposed to like somehow make this box work somehow, and you're supposed to fold it like right here, and yeah. So yeah, that's how that box folds in there, and you're supposed to put the game on top. And just so you have an idea, their manuals were black and white and cheap. But most of the time the games were actually pretty fun. So these were considered unlicensed games that Nintendo did not approve. And Nintendo was quite pissed off most of the time. And then eventually Tension switched to these type of boxes. And these boxes are actually quite nice. You see right there, they have like a styrofoam in it. It's nice and holds up quite well. Got the Tension seal quality. Got RBI baseball right there. So we have Super Sprint, Roadrunner, Pac-Man, And we got the baseball game, and then we have Indiana Jones as well. And I believe that the Tetris game is the one that's worth the most. And there is some sort of manual over here. What is this? I found this inside the Indiana Jones game. So I open it up for a second and look at it. The interactive NFL play sheet. This is not even for the same game. It looks like a football game. But for some reason that was with one of the Tengen games. Did not even realize that. So it looks like I have 5 Tension games. I thought I might have had more than that. But apparently that's all I have. So, besides Tension games, I also have a few other weird looking cartridges. I don't know really too much about these. But they're gold and they have like little switches in the back. The Quattro cartridges. You got 4 games in one. And I think these are made by Codemaster, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they are. See Codemaster right there on the very bottom. And this is another little switch thing right here, and on the back it says, let's see what it says here. It says, patent pending, do not drop, do not get wet, do not leave direct sunlight. It says, position B only, excuse me for a second, it's only use this position if the game does not work in position A. So it's probably something to do with the lockout chip. Now this might have came from like a Goodwill. See, $4. I found it for like $4. And here's another one right here. What is this? The Ultimate Stuntman. Some really weird looking cartridges. And these are all Codemaster games. You got Micro Machines. And this one actually has a manual, so you can actually see what their manuals look like. And their manuals are actually quite nice. So these unlicensed Codemaster games, they actually gave us a nice color manual. Unlike Tengen just printed out a black and white manual, that was it. And then we have a few other weird unlicensed cartridges here. This one I don't really know too much about, but it says American Video Entertainment F-15 City War. And this cartridge is shaped definitely a lot different than your normal NES cartridge, and it has the little push here thing, so when you put the game in, you push there to release the game. Now this is a strange, obscure, unlicensed game, and I don't know too much about this one, to be honest. Then there's this Color Dream unlicensed cartridge, and again, I don't know too much about this. It's called Captain Comic. Excuse me. And then since they're play on the Nintendo Entertainment System, it's very, very small font. I don't know how they expect anyone to read that. And once again, it does say press here. Really weird shaped cartridges. Usually these unlicensed cartridges have different molding. They look real different. And it says Color Dream right there on the bottom. It says do not hit or drop cartridge, do not attempt to disassemble, and you know, all the normal stuff. And I really don't know. I bought these games like a long time ago, so I don't know exactly what their value is now. Then of course we have a Wisdom Tree game. Probably their best game that they have, the King of Kings, and they have 2 different copies of this game. So I remember a while ago I used to own a copy that was, I think it was a blue cartridge. So they definitely have 2 different versions of this game as far as what the cartridge looks like and the label art. Now this game is actually a pretty decent platformer. And it also has a lot of trivia in it, so I guess you definitely have to be up and know your Bible, facts and everything like that. Because they will ask you like all different types of trivia questions. It says to start game, please wait up to 9 flashes on the TV screen, and this is power up. So all these games somehow bypass the that lockout chip that the NES had, and you were able to play like a whole different library of weird, obscure NES games, as you can see here. Pretty interesting stuff. Maybe we'll take a look at that another time. We also have, this is probably the most recent one I bought. I came across this. This is a 501 weird multi-cart. Recently found this out in the wild. And apparently this game has like some really weird ROM hacks. And just in case you missed it, I actually played some sort of Mario 10 game that it's called Mario 10. I uploaded the video I think yesterday or the day before. And it was actually a ROM hack of some Jackie Chan game. So there's even more stuff on here that's strange. Like a whole bunch of weird Contra games and stuff. We'll definitely check this out in the future. Very interested in looking at that. So if you enjoyed this episode of Memory Lane, and if you kept count, please let me know down below exactly how many games for the NES I own. And yeah, stay tuned for more collection videos. I still have a few more collections I could show off, like maybe the N64 or who knows. So stay tuned, and I'm almost losing my voice here. So don't forget to give a thumbs up and comment down below, and I will see you next time on Memory Lane.